This is the Persistence of Vision podcast.
Welcome to the Persistence of Vision podcast. I'm Clint Till. And for those of you that haven't listened before, Persistence of Vision is a newsletter that I started on Substack. And basically, it is a collection of stories of creative people, filmmakers, video production professionals, anybody that has a story to tell about their experiences in the industry and what they've learned along the way. And I started out sharing personal stories on Substack, and then wanted to branch out and reach out and talk to other folks that are also in this same industry and kind of get their stories and share them both on Substack and as a podcast. So, persistence of vision, for those of you unfamiliar, is kind of that the reason why motion pictures work, right? Persistence of vision is this idea that our eyes and our brain can perceive an image for a split second after that image has disappeared. So if you put 24 of those pictures consecutively and run them and project them, it gives us the illusion of motion. So that's where persistence of vision came from for my newsletter, but also persistence of vision, I think, reflects kind of the nature of how I see myself in this industry. Someone that anybody that's persistent enough to see their vision through to reality, right? Persisting in when things go sideways, persisting when you fail, when you mess up, and what are those lessons that we can learn as we're all kind of trying to achieve that vision, right? So I wanted to welcome in Kevin Pettit. He is also a fellow Substacker. He writes "See You at the Movies" at Substack. So that's seeyouatthemovies.substack.com. And I'd come across Kevin's work on that platform and wanted to chat with him briefly about his experience as well. So Kevin, thank you so much for helping out and being a part of this.
Yeah, Clint, thanks so much for inviting me. This is really, really cool. I hope I'll be able to enlighten some folks or at least tell some like pretty cool stories. So thanks so much for having me.
I wanted to give you a chance to give the listeners a little bit of background. Tell us a little bit about who you are and your background and how you got started in your work, both as a critic and as a filmmaker.
Yeah, so like for me, I grew up in like the South Jersey. I currently live in Philadelphia, but I grew up in the South Jersey like BMX scene. And for me, that was like really important to me because all my friends were going to these like BMX premieres, and I got to be exposed to really cool music and editing and go see these guys who I knew like put these big premieres together. And I realized that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like these dudes and like go film. And so eventually, like I like joined like a semi like kind of professional BMX group, and I was like the filmers for them. And that was really cool. And I got to go on like really cool road trips like across the country and just film all these guys. That's kind of like what inspired me to like really just be diehard into film, is because I was just wanted to travel and film everything, not including the tricks, but like everything that was going around with like me and my friends. And I think I started to notice like I was like, oh, like a fisheye lens. What does that mean? What do you like? And I would see a certain amount of like the different because I started meeting a lot of the guys who filmed these videos. Like, because I would go like travel and I'd be like, oh, what are you shooting on? Oh, you're shooting on this. You're always shooting on DVX. Oh, that's cool. Like, you're still using tape. Or are you using this? And like, starting like what I really started to like was starting to get the lingo and like
Yeah.
understanding like more of the technical aspects of everything, and like going up and be like, oh, that's what you got yours set at? Oh, okay. Like, and people would like just grab your
Yeah.
camera out of your hand, and then they'd be like, oh no, you should try this setting. And then I shoot on it,
Gotcha.
and I really like that, like almost like camaraderie amongst the filmers, because there was always, I get almost like a set that I was just on, or like people understand the talent versus the crew or whatever. There was like the little sect of BMX guys who were the filmers who also rode. They rode their bikes too, but we'd all huddle together and be like, "Oh, what did you shoot?" And then we'd show each other what we shot that day, and that was always so exciting to me because we'd be comparing, and we'd be like almost like we did in the beginning, being like, I wish I shot it this way, or be like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I love this angle that you shot it with, and you can see the light and stuff like that. So I really liked the idea of everyone coming together and like working together and trying to help each other out. That was like a really cool community.
Yeah, no, I think that's great because I think the lesson here for everybody that might be listening is that you have to be open You have to be willing to help each other out. You have to be willing to ask questions and not be afraid of like
Yeah.
fear, not having that fear that you don't know as much as somebody, because there's always gonna be somebody that knows more than you, right? So even as long as I've been in this industry, like I don't consider myself an expert. Like I still consider myself like a perpetual student. Like I'm trying to learn stuff. And then
Yeah.
what you also said is great, a great lesson, because you're in this BMX community, you're learning a lot from these guys, but then through that, you're building up a network. Does that then lead you into working on film sets, or how did that come about?
Yeah, I just kind of started doing like my own uh filming with like my friends after college, just doing some BMX stuff here and there. And then I never really stopped filming. Like when I moved to Philly, I started just like right after college, I just started filming around the city, and I just love my city so much. I love Philadelphia uh with all my heart, and like I just love filming around the city. And then my buddy Rick was just like, hey, like I see that you're still filming and doing like little short videos and stuff like that. Like, would you like want to be a part of like a couple of my projects? And that's where that kind of led into. And like he knew, since he like filmed a bunch of like BMX videos that like premiered at different the festivals and stuff like that, that he knew that I was like pretty familiar with all that stuff. I'm currently working on this indie movie with my buddy Rick Whitehead. It's called Party Tray. These guys all used to ride BMX and go and like do all their premieres and stuff. So I'm like, I feel like I owe these guys. Like I want to go like be a part and like help them out with all anything they're trying to do. And like I got to work on his previous movie, which was like kind of like a noir, like kind of dirty Western, which was cool. And like that movie was really cool. That movie was called Monaco Blues, which premiered at a couple of South Jersey film festivals. And I got to be there for the big shootout day. So I got to be there when they had all shooting all the blanks, and I got to shoot inside like an RV while they were shooting blanks through like an RV, and that was sick. That was a really cool, fun day, and that was like one of my first times like working on like a big set, and like there was like over like 2 dozen people there, and like for me, like I don't know if that's like a massive set for like an indie movie, but having like over 20 some people there all working on costumes, refilling. I was helping refill blanks and guns. That was really really exciting for me. So to be able to work on his like next project and try and help out and have a more involved role, like really cool.
Is there anything like an anecdote that comes to mind, a story, a situation where you really felt like you took something away from that experience?
Yeah, I guess like when I went to that first shoot that I was talking about earlier, and the amount of patience you have to have is kind of insane. Like, as someone who was just there to do like a little bit, I was my role for that day was I was shooting the sniper scene, which is cool. I got to get this like massive long lens that my buddy Rick let me borrow that was like 2 or 3 feet. I don't remember. It felt like it was 10 feet long, and I got to pretend to be like the sniper up in the hill or something like that. He added like a little uh sniper lens to the end of it in like post. It's very fun. But I think the big thing that I took away from that day, because we were shooting, like there was a giant dolly setup. There was tons of people, different moving parts. They were essentially shooting like a shootout scene, like at the end of Heat. They had like fake grenades going off, smoke, and all this. I was like, ah, man, I'm in a John Wayne film. This is so cool. I think my biggest takeaway was like, one, I was just like, enjoy it. Like, this is really cool stuff. Like, I always think of like Tarantino, like he has that like saying he says on sets. It's like, we love making movies, or he says something like that, and everyone gets like really stoked on set. And I heard working on his sets are actually like delightful. Everyone is having a great time, which is not the case with every set, obviously. But two, it's just like have patience with like the process, because I was like there just trying to help Rick and help so many people work through like frustration of people forgetting lines, things not going off the way they're supposed to. And I just kind of had this like moment of being like, this is really cool, but it takes a lot of people and a lot of hard work to get like just one little thing done. And I'm just in awe that anything ever gets made. So I don't know
Yeah, yeah,
if I don't know if that answers your question, but that's pretty much my biggest takeaway.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. But then at some point you got into the film critic space. So tell me a little bit about that and how that happened for you.
Yeah, I started like I've always like I know it's like probably sounds cliche, like always love movies, but I feel like for me, like I would just like as a kid, like just watch the AFI top 100 movies that they used to put on like television with like Morgan Freeman narrating, and I'd watch that for hours, and I'd just be obsessed. And then like in the past year, I would just start like writing like little mini reviews on my Instagram stories. And I was doing that for like a year or so, and then my fiance, um, she was like, "Oh, you should start a Substack. Like you really like writing and like talking about movies. Like you should like try to expand on some of your thoughts." And then I like kind of fell into it and just started writing my first reviews. And so far it's been pretty cool. I've got to meet like Clint, you, and like a bunch of other people. I'm now like I've collaborated with a few other people on there too, and I've got to see a lot of people's other excellent thoughts, critiques, and like just general just reviews of movies and TV, and also working on sets and stuff like that. Substack's really cool. I didn't even know about it like a year ago, and now I'm like obsessed with it.
When you're talking about persistence of vision and talking about um, just the competitiveness of being in film and video, like everybody's out there making movies, and
Yeah.
then here you are now writing as a film critic, and it's also a very competitive space because everybody considers themselves a film critic. So for you, just in that idea of like seeing things through and persisting in this film critic role that you've chosen for yourself, like what are some lessons that you've already learned or some takeaways that you have?
It's okay to be wrong. I think I've already seen a few movies this year that I immediately like thought way too highly of. It might just be that feeling of coming out of a movie and being super excited. Or there were some movies this year that I came out and I thought were pretty flat, but I haven't stopped thinking about. I'm not the end all be all. I think you should just be able to like watch something, read my review or the many other people that I recommend or see on Substack and be able to expand your own thoughts. That's cool. And even if you think I'm wrong, you might just be able to take and be like, oh, I didn't think about it that way.
Talk about some of your habits when you're writing. Like, what is your workflow from start to finish? Take me through your habit.
If you ask my friends, they think I'm there every day.
Yeah.
They're like,
Because I noticed on your Substack, you're a very prolific writer. Like I've seen a lot of reviews. You're putting out a lot of stuff, which is great.
I know, yeah, and my it's I kind of have it nice because my full time job is remote. During my lunch break, I can like focus on like doing like uh some type of like critical review of a movie that I just watched or whatever. But also when I'm done work, like I can also just immediately start typing because I'm already home. So that's nice. And also I'll get up early and stuff like that. So for me, like I always try to write my review for stuff like the day after I saw it, which I know for some people are like, oh, I need to sleep on it or I need some time. So for me, like, because I feel like I'll just lose a lot of like how I felt in that moment. And like, I try to plan out that I at least have like uh two, maybe three like posts going out a week. And that could be a new movie. That could be like I've done a couple rankings. Like I ranked all the Alien movies. That was a lot of fun for me because I'm a huge Alien fan. Like upcoming, like I try to like plan out and draft a lot of stuff where like that also motivates me to like, all right, if this is drafted, this means I have to do this week. If it's in my drafts, I know I have to write that up.
Writing on Substack for me and just sharing these stories has been pretty creatively fulfilling. I write and direct a lot of short films on the side, but as we talked about earlier, I mean, even a short film takes a lot of time and a lot of people. And so I'm not cranking those things out, all the time. So,
Right.
what am I doing in the meantime to kind of, scratch that creative itch? So I find like talking to people like writing, doing stuff like this is just, it kind of helps give me that creative fulfillment.
Yeah, no, I think definitely Substack has been very inspiring to me because I'm seeing other people's work and I'm like, man, you guys are all so talented.
Yeah.
There are some
Yeah.
there's some like wildly talented people on Substack, a lot of the people I follow, I'm sure a ton of the people that you follow, and like I find all their work very inspiring, but then sometimes I'm like, you guys are way better than me. I get that in
Yeah,
Oscars.
yeah.
I get that in
Right, right.
room again, where I'm like, I'm never gonna write as good as you. But I think just put in the work. Like I started, and like I just had like my mom and like my friends follow me, and I was getting like a couple of views here and there. But I was just like, I'm gonna stick to it. Just start and just see where it takes you. I don't know. Just like you just take that first step. I guess
Yeah.
would be my
No,
suggestion.
yeah, I totally agree because there's moments, where I'm doing my short films and they'll play at festivals and I'll get some recognition. I've been fortunate to get some awards at some regional festivals. And
Hell yeah.
but then, you like you're saying, you see some people that are doing really good work, but maybe their subscriber count isn't as high as you would expect. Or maybe like for me, I'm doing these short films and maybe they don't get the traction that I expect. And so there is that point as a creative where you're thinking to yourself, why do I keep doing this? Why am I continuing to put myself out there with like nothing really to show for it. But I think, like you're saying, the lesson there is like keep showing up, keep putting in the time, keep plugging away. And then you said something that was also really important. When you're talking about all the other writers and people that you see on Substack, you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are so much better than I am. And I feel the same way if I go to like a film festival and I see other people's work. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that color grade looks so much better than anything I can do, or this camera movement is so much better than what I can do. But I think like surrounding yourself on purpose with people that are better than you on a constant basis just pushes you to try something different, to push boundaries, and to do something that you wouldn't have thought of ordinarily because you're surrounding yourself with people that are better than you.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I give all my credit to my awesome fiance, Leah. She's the one who's like pushed me. She's like, I think you have some cool insight that I think you should expand upon and like start and like get on to Substack. And like, she's the one being like, in the early days, she would like look over she's a phenomenal writer as well. I asked her to like look over my work and like I'd have to leave the room because I would just be like, I don't even want you to look at like my writing. Like I don't even want you to like because I know she's so loving and so wonderful that like I would like still be just so hyper self-conscious of you looking at anything that I write. Like once I press publish, I'm good. Like, but if it's in the the draft stage, like I think like I'm hanging on pins and needles. So I honestly like having like a good support group, even if it be other writers or just like friends and family, like pushing you to chase after like your passion stuff. Also, you gotta like enjoy it. Once it like starts to become like a job, like while I'm also working my actual job, then I'm like, that's stupid. Like I'm not this is not fun anymore. So I sometimes
Yeah.
have to like if I get any writer's block, like I just go for a nice 45-minute walk around the neighborhood. I'm like, okay, gonna go put on a podcast and just kind of just free my, or not even put on a podcast, just listen to the outside and just like try to like, get rid of that like maybe writer's block or maybe like frustration or something like that, where like I've rewritten my first paragraph like a dozen times. I'm like, okay, time to go take a walk
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, you're right, because it shouldn't be work. I mean, this should be anything creatively that you do is, the important thing to remember is that there are no rules. There's no, like you said earlier, there's no word count requirement on Substack.
Right.
There's nobody telling me that I've got to do a specific short film, or that I've got to do things a certain way. It's for you. And if you think more about doing it for you and what you like and what you want to read or what you want to see, and less about whether and less about worrying whether or not people are going to show up or people are going to watch or read. Just focus on what you want to do and put it out there, and absolutely no pressure at all.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that like I think a lot of people set up these like super high expectations for themselves, which is cool. Like that's
Sure.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like if you want to set up those like super high expectations, because you probably rock. You're probably an awesome person and you should pursue your passions because a lot of people are wickedly talented and they don't even know it. Um, but at the same time that you should also like understand that this is all just for fun and
Yeah.
that you should enjoy what you're doing, and if you're doing it just for the sake of doing it, that's bad. Don't do that. Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, Kevin, man, this has been great. This has been an awesome conversation. I've really have enjoyed meeting you, but I wanted to give you a second. Just go ahead and plug anything you want to plug. Tell us about what you're working on. Tell people where they can find you online.
Yeah, Clint, this has been really cool. But yeah, if you want to check out my stuff, I am on Substack. See you at the movies. I pretty much just write about the most recent releases and movies coming out. I do a lot of commentary on like directors, reviews. I do some rankings and stuff, and just kind of get my general thoughts of like what's going on with the movies right now. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so that's Kevin Pettit. He writes at Substack at See You at the Movies. I'm Clint Till. You can find me at clinttill.substack.com, and you can find everything else I'm doing online at linktree.com/Clint Till.
And that's it for the Persistence of Vision podcast.